On November 25, 2012 at 5 p.m., Cleveland police received a call from Camilia Terry. She stated that her 3-year-old son, Emiliano, was missing. Cleveland police officer Robert Mangan and his partner Kevin Walker immediately responded to the scene. They arrived within minutes. Upon arrival, Robert observed Camilia standing in the park with 2 small children, later identified as her 2 other sons. The officers asked Camilia for any additional details that might assist them in their search for Emiliano. Camilia told the detectives that after approximately 15 minutes of playing, she noticed Emiliano was missing. The detectives then walked the route Camilia used as she walked to the park that afternoon, before returning back to Camilia's apartment. Cleveland Police Commander Dion McCauley and his deputy Calvin Williams instructed the detectives to take Camilia and her children back to the 4th District for additional interviews. The FBI actually got involved. You had Special Agent Joseph Callahan. He testified that the FBI became involved in November 2012. He testified that he had a conversation with Camilia while he was at her apartment building. FBI Special Agent Andrew Burke testified that he received Camilia's consent to search her cell phone. Agent Burke generated a report documenting the phone's contents. Now, the report contained text messages, call logs, and other relevant data. You see, Camilia told the agent that on November 25, 2012, she and her children woke up at 11 a.m. but stayed home until around 4 p.m. Now, the data that was extracted from the phone, however, placed her near Tower City, which is downtown Cleveland, around 2 p.m. So if you're telling the police that you were home till 4 p.m. but your phone suggests you were out and about at 2 p.m, someone is telling porkies, aren't they, love? And after being confronted with this information, Camilia then stated that she had lunch with her children at the McDonald's in Tower City. She further stated they rode a bus downtown at 1 p.m. Now, the next day, on November 26th, that same agent, Agent Burke, he received a still photo from a local business external surveillance video. This video shows Camilia was pushing a stroller past that building. She was also accompanied by her sons, but the video did not show that Emiliano was with them. So what happened to him? Another agent, Agent Fragmelli, he testified about his interview with Camilia. He said that he asked her for more information regarding Emiliano's disappearance. Camilia stated that she and her 3 children walked to the park at 4 p.m. She stated that she placed her youngest child in a stroller for the walk to the park. She pushed the stroller while the other kids and Emiliano walked alongside her. Then at some point while they were at the park, Camilia said that she lost sight of Emiliano and poof, he was gone. Because of course, that happens every day. She spent approximately 15 to 20 minutes searching the whole park for Emiliano before she called 911. Agent Fragmelli then showed Camilia the surveillance photo depicting only the other children walking to the park with her. Because of course, surveillance footage showed that Emiliano did not go to the park. Camilia responded that Emiliano was hidden behind the stroller because of the camera's angle. And Fragmelli, having reviewed the entire video, he did not see Emiliano anywhere in the vicinity of the stroller. When he told Camilia this, she just stayed quiet. Now, the FBI agents also spoke with a witness. That witness observed Camilia on the day of Emiliano's disappearance. That witness said that they had only seen Camilia and the other kids walking to the park, and Emiliano was not there. Camilia replied that the witness must have something against her. The FBI also showed her a computer printout of an internet posting dated on November 21st. This internet posting said, "I have a 3-year-old toddler I want to put up for adoption." Camilia admitted that she is the one that created this posting because she had trouble raising Emiliano and she was considering giving him up for adoption. The posting states that Camilia had hesitations about giving birth to Emiliano. She had difficulty dealing with Emiliano's problems, and Emiliano's father was not present to assist in raising the child. The agent then asked her if she could take them to Emiliano's whereabouts. Camilia responded that she did not appreciate the agent's implication that she knows where he is and said, "Let me get out of this room." While that interview was going on, police were at the park searching for Emiliano and at Camilia's house looking for clues. Now, in her apartment building, you had the waste management facility who, take out the trash and all that stuff. You also had the FBI special agent Christopher Garnett. And do you know what he saw? Well, within minutes of searching through the trash, Garnett picked up a bag and it felt quite heavy. He began removing some of the external bags until he reached a blue nylon bag. Agent Garnett rolled the contents out of the outer bags and began closely inspecting the object. He testified that he felt something that was a skull. He then felt kneecaps, leg bones, and feet. Agent Garnett smelled the stench of decomposition once he cut open the bags. He further testified that Emiliano's body was wrapped in approximately 7 different plastic bags, including bags from the children's place and from Target. Once the agents determined that they had found a body, they contacted the Cleveland police and the medical examiner's office. The FBI agents at the waste management facility relayed this information and their discovery of Emiliano's body to the other law enforcement officers who at the time were interviewing Camilia. Agent Fragamelli, who was interviewing her, informed her, "We found his body." He told her that his body had been recovered from a garbage truck that collected trash from her apartment building. Fragamelli said this is when Camilia began to cry and stated she did not intentionally take her son's life. She stated that her other kids and Emiliano went to sleep. They all slept on the same bed the night before, November 23rd. She then woke up on the morning of November 24th and Emiliano was dead. She did not know how it happened, but Emiliano just stopped breathing. She walked around the apartment for a number of hours, became scared that others would blame her for Emiliano's death, and decided to dispose of Emiliano's body. Camilia told Fragamelli that she wrapped his body in trash bags. She also used the children's place shopping bag and placed it in the dumpster by her apartment building. When asked if there were any injuries on Emiliano that she could explain, she said that Emiliano had sustained a head injury the day before when the other kids pushed him from behind, causing Emiliano to strike his head on a car seat. She stated that Emiliano's head began bleeding and she cleaned up the wound. Camilia then wiped the blood off the car seat. But of course, it seems Camilia is telling a whole bunch of porkies. So the best way to identify what happened is the forensic pathologist. This was Andrea Wiens. She performed the autopsy. She testified that Emiliano was small for his age. His height and weight measurements were below the 5th percentile for his age. Her examination revealed that he had multiple skull fractures, subgleal hematomas, and lacerations and contusions to his head. He had intramuscular bruising on the back of his shoulder blades and on the back of his right arm, and a laceration to his liver. Dr. Wiens testified that the laceration to his liver almost tore the liver in half and was caused by severe force to his abdomen. He also had fractures in his left and right ribs, some of which had been sustained at the time prior to Emiliano's death. She predicted that the old rib fractures occurred sometime during the months preceding Emiliano's death. The remaining described injuries were all inflicted while Emiliano was alive and near the time of his death. She went on to say that based on the degree of decomposition, Emiliano had been dead for approximately 5 to 7 days prior to the time his body was discovered. She testified that the cause of Emiliano's death was blunt impacts to the head, torso, and extremities, with skeletal soft tissue and visceral injuries. The manner of his death was ruled a homicide. You also had Curtis Jones. He was the supervisor of the county medical examiner's office. He testified about the evidence obtained in Camilia's apartment. He said that in several locations of her apartment there was blood everywhere, on the radiator, in the living room, on the wall, in the front bedroom, and in the sink. They also found a pair of boots which also had blood on it. He categorized the blood stains on the radiator as blood spatter. He did not find any indication of blood on the car seat in Camilia's car, and that's important because she claimed that his head impacted the car seat. You also had Lisa Moore, a forensic scientist employed with the county medical office. She testified that the samples taken from the knot area of the outer bags used to dispose Emiliano's body matched Camilia's DNA. She testified that the blood samples collected from the knot area of the bindings around Emiliano's waist and Camilia's boots and the baseboard in the bedroom all matched Emiliano's DNA. Furthermore, police detective Joselito Sandoval testified that he went to the waste management facility with the FBI. He observed trash bags that were opened, partially exposing the right side of Emiliano's face. He viewed 3 pieces of mail surrounding the body, 2 of which were addressed to Camilia and 1 letter in Emiliano's name. He was the one that conducted the search of her apartment, and during the search he found a letter. This letter was from the First Call for Help Community Resources Adoption Network in Cleveland. He also found a Tower City McDonald's receipt. He found a HP laptop, 2 USB drives, and 3 cell phones belonging to Camilia. He testified that Camilia had conducted internet searches, and these searches were on child adoption services around the time of Emiliano's death, so it's pretty clear she was just trying to get rid of him. Sandoval went on to say that her attorney, Camilia's attorney, contacted him and made arrangements for Camilia to give him a statement in the presence of her attorney. So in October, he interviewed her. During the interview, Camilia implicated that there was a man by the name of Red. He's the one that caused Emiliano's death. She claimed that sometime before Emiliano died, this man, Red, attacked her and sexually assaulted her in the apartment. She said that Red attacked her in front of the other kids and Emiliano. And according to Camilia, the other kids left the room and Emiliano attempted to help. At that time, Red took Emiliano down the hallway. Camilia told Sandoval that she then attempted to escape, but Red assaulted her again. Then Red left the apartment. Camilia found Emiliano asleep in the corner and he had a mark on his head. She told Sandoval that Red told her not to implicate him or he would take her life and her kid's life. So then on Thanksgiving 2012, Camilia came back to her apartment to find Red sitting in the living room with the kids and Emiliano. Red then took Camilia's phone and chased her into the bedroom. He was dressed in all black and he wore white gloves. He then pushed her down onto the bed and inserted a needle into her arm. This caused her to lose consciousness and removed her clothes. When Camilia woke up, she found Emiliano in a closet, bloody and with a note pinned to his chest, stating that if you try to find me, I'm going to take your child's life. Camilia then told Sandoval that she removed Emiliano's dead body from the closet, placed it in trash bags, and placed the bags containing his body in the dumpster behind her apartment building. This to me is dumb as fuck. Why, if you're assaulted, are you just gonna bury the body? The first thing you do is go to police. That's what anyone would do. Now, after her statement to Sandoval, he began to investigate her claims, and she identified Red as a man named Lamar. This Lamar testified in trial. He did say his nickname is Red. He admitted to a criminal record, including robbery and assault. Lamar said that he met Camilia in 2011 and he went to her apartment on 2 occasions. The first occasion, Lamar was accompanied by his cousin. The 2 men visited Camilia for about 30 minutes. On the second occasion, Camilia invited Lamar back to her apartment, at which time the 2 had consensual sex. Lamar did not see Camilia's children during the visit to her apartment. He testified that he did not do anything or cause any physical harm on Camilia or the children. In fact, he never knew them, he did not meet them, he had no contact with Emiliano, and he was not involved with Emiliano's death. Now, in the trial, Agent Sandoval further testified that his investigation of Camilia's October interview revealed a number of inconsistencies. Firstly, he went through her phone, right? He discovered 17 outgoing and 20 incoming text messages, as well as a 10-minute phone call. This was during the time period Camilia claimed to be unconscious and that she was drugged by Red. There was also internet activity on her phone, specifically searches pertaining to adoption. This was all during the same time period she claimed she was unconscious and Red was assaulting her. The state also called witnesses with regard to Camilia's relationship with Emiliano. You had Emiliano's pediatrician. He began treating Emiliano when he was only 7 months old. He claimed Emiliano was underweight and his weight continued to drop further down the growth chart. The doctor further testified that Camilia never raised any concerns about Emiliano's behavior or childhood development. You also had April Shepherd. She was a licensed social worker and consultant at the Positive Education Program. This is a group that provides support to children. Shepherd testified that Emiliano and Camilia were 2 of her clients. She said that Emiliano went to her in May 2012 because Camilia was concerned that Emiliano suffered from physical and communication. Shepherd further testified that Camilia claimed to be overwhelmed with his behavior and that Emiliano would not listen to her, and that Emiliano was defiant that if Camilia asked him to do something, he wouldn't do it. Well, of course he wouldn't. That's what kids do. They don't listen. Shepherd stated that Camilia desired to obtain parenting skills from the program. But Shepherd had concerns about Camilia. Specifically, she was concerned about Camilia's ability to bond with Emiliano. Shepherd eventually contacted the Department of Children and Family Services after she was aware that one of Emiliano's doctors was seeking to contact Camilia. You also had Lateria Foster. She testified she had been a foster parent for 17 years. She said Camilia moved to Mississippi for a period of time and later returned to Ohio. Camilia then gave birth to Emiliano. Lateria continued to assist Camilia with day-to-day tasks, including buying and delivering food and providing transport. But Lateria became concerned about Emiliano because he would cry whenever Camilia picked him up from her care. Lateria testified that Camilia stated that Emiliano always cried and he was spoiled. She described Emiliano as just a normal baby that liked to eat a lot. She said that during the middle of 2012, she had a series of conversations with Camilia pertaining to Emiliano. And during one of the conversations, Camilia seemed really frustrated and she kept calling Emiliano as the bad one, as in the bad one of all her children. Lateria then made arrangements for her daughter to take care of Emiliano. This was August 2012. During this time, Lateria testified she noticed Emiliano was beginning to talk. He was learning his ABCs, enjoyed music. Lateria further testified that Camilia felt pressured to have Emiliano live with her, and that Camilia had not bonded with Emiliano. Slowly, Lateria lost contact with Camilia after Emiliano was returned to her at the end of August 2012. He also had Julia Shelvin. She testified that she and Camilia were best friends in high school, and she stated that about 2 weeks prior to Thanksgiving in 2012, Camilia told her she was thinking of giving up Emiliano for adoption because he was just behaviorally very bad. She called Julia after Emiliano went missing, asking if she could assist in the search. Julia testified that Camilia seemed worried, but she wasn't crying. Julia posted notices pertaining to Emiliano's disappearance on Facebook and Instagram. You also had Latricia Harrison. She testified that her fiance is the father of Camilia's youngest son. Camilia lived with them for approximately a month in 2012 when she was pregnant and assisted her in obtaining food stamps and welfare payments. Latricia testified that Emiliano did not exhibit notable behavioral issues, but she did describe the child as very fragile and 2 or 3 times smaller than her own sons of the same age. Latricia stated that on one occasion, she and Camilia caught Harrison's son, Emiliano, and the other kids drinking water out of toilet. Latricia testified that both she and her fiance were concerned about Camilia's discipline style and asked her to move out. So, at the end of the state's case, Camilia moved for an acquittal, which the trial denied. Camilia rested without offering any evidence. Defense counsel requested a jury instruction on reckless homicide, a lesser included offense to aggravated murder. And after a quick deliberation, the jury found Camilia Terry guilty of purposely taking the life of 3-year-old Emiliano. But they did not find her guilty of planning the murder. The jury found her guilty on 9 of 10 counts. This was aggravated murder, felonious assault, endangering children, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse. She showed no reaction to the verdicts and was sentenced to 31 years in prison. She cut his limbs off. And there's only one thing to say: Bro, what the fuck?